tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your number one source in after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah! Woo! Welcome, Biggest Loser fans. It is season 16, episode 2. You might be thinking, who is this Aussie chick talking to you? Well, my name is AJ Rochester, and everybody has deserted me on my first night here. But you know what? That's okay, because I have a bit of Biggest Loser history. I actually hosted Biggest Loser Australia for 4 years. I was a rabid fan of Biggest Loser before I even got the job. And so I kind of know a lot of the inside tricks and tips and hints. And we worked with Bob and Jillian in the first season. In fact, we had them for 2 seasons. That was very interesting, let me tell you. Oh, and boy, have I got some secrets to tell you in the next few weeks. It was crazy. So look, bear with me. It's my first night, but I'm just going to share my absolute passion for Biggest Loser. I think it's an awesome show. I think it changes people's lives, and it's also incredibly entertaining. This season is called Glory Days. Of course, we had the first episode last week, and these people are all former athletes. Some professional, some were high school athletes, scholarships, university, college athletes, but they all came into the game playing hard and fast for that $250,000 prize money. I mean, who wouldn't work hard and go a little hungry for $250,000? I'll tell you, I would. So yeah, it's game on pretty much straight away. And I think one of the things that Dolvett said last week was, you know, normally we spend a month getting these people to a condition where they can actually work out. These people last week, they were in the gym, they hit it hard, there was no complaining, there was no whinging. You know, they just got into it. And the claim this year is that it's going to be different, and not just different, like you've never seen before. And I think they kind of really set the bar last week for that. We've got new trainers and very, very different methods of training, very, very different ideologies. It's more emotional and psychological, because there's really no time to be spent in the gym changing these people. They're just like, all right, how many burpees do you want me to do? So they just kind of get into that. So I think that in itself is changing the game. So we start this week in Comeback Canyon, Bob's Little Kingdom. Now, we've lost Jillian, okay? And look, we've lost Jillian a few times, and she's very, very, very popular, and they keep trying to say goodbye to her, but unfortunately the ratings don't necessarily reflect the producer's desire for that. Everybody loves Jillian, and the ratings really previously have gone down whenever she's left, which means when she comes back, she like beefs up her contract, which is always quite funny. So, you know, last season we did have that controversy with the whole caffeine pills, and I think that really gave them the impetus to go, you know what, it's time. It's 16 seasons. It's time for a change. We have to really remake the show. So they sent Jillian away. And I mean, I don't know, but I kind of had a feeling that they were going to send Bob away. I heard a rumor that Bob was going, but I think they kind of last minute created this Comeback Canyon. So I kind of call it Sideshow Bob and his Comeback Canyon. And it's like the secret training camp, which I just love. So last week we've got Vanessa and Andrea got eliminated, so she comes to Comeback Canyon, and that's where the show opens this week. And Andrea comes along, and Bob opens the door, and she's like, "What?" She gets out of the limo, and it's game on. Andrea is this tiny little cheerleader. Okay, not tiny weight-wise, but she's tiny height-wise, and she talks about having to compete against Vanessa, because Comeback Canyon is all about the 2 secret contestants. They compete for a week training only with Bob. And this is just as much Bob's comeback story as anyone else's, because he's kind of got to prove himself too. 16 seasons in, he's probably not really, maybe he might turn up to work a little late. Not saying he did in Australia, but maybe he did. It's kind of going to give him that impetus to really prove himself and remind him that he really wants this job and he really wants a winner for this show. And I think that's going to make him work hard, because Bob really is really into it and he trains really hard and he really loves fitness. And I think this is actually a really good place for him 16 seasons on. So we've got Andrea and Vanessa. Andrea, cheerleader, Vanessa, former WNBA. And Andrea goes, how can I compete against Vanessa, who is 6'5"? 6'5". Now, let me tell you, here's an inside trick that Biggest Loser do. Biggest Loser will rarely, if ever, hire anyone, male or female, under about 5'9". And they'll go right up into the 6 and 7 foot range if they can. Because the thing about tall people is they can carry a lot more weight. So it looks spectacular on the scales. Oh, he's 400 pounds. She's 360 pounds. But she's also 6'5". So when the rest of us, because I'm like 5 foot nothing, I don't say I'm overweight. I'm just under tall. If I was like a foot taller, I would totally be a model. So, but for me, if I have to weigh like 120 pounds to kind of look skinny, whereas Vanessa, who's 6'5", her finishing weight will probably be around 180, 190. And so they have less to lose. It's a bit of a trick that they use. And the other thing, the hard thing about the comeback canyon is the person who stays, it's going to be harder for them to keep beating the winner. Because that person traditionally, particularly in the start of the game, the person who's coming has been the lowest weight loss. So traditionally, if you've lost little the week before, you're probably going to have a better week the week after. So, it's going to be an interesting element, Comeback Canyon, and it's going to take a really, really elite athlete to be able to stay. I think we're probably going to see a changing of the guard each week as they kind of come through, until we get someone who is just absolutely diehard determined to be that person who comes back to compete for that $250,000 prize. It's interesting with the eliminations. I've always found, like when we were filming, I did 4 years, the contestants it's not really game on until each team has been to elimination. So it's kind of all a bit of a love fest at first until they start kind of sending the weaker people home. But then they kind of start realizing if they keep the really strong people, they're going to have to beat them eventually. So the game is yet to really, really change to that competitive edge. And it's going to be even more competitive because we have athletes who are just naturally competitive. So that's Comeback Canyon. We head off to the ranch and we see Jessie. Now, Jessie's the new guy on the block. He's blue team. He's, in inverted commas, replacing Bob, because Bob was always blue. And he starts, teaching nutrition to his teammates because he lost the weigh-in last week. And he's like, oh my God, I'm new and I'm losing the weigh-in. But what we actually learn about him is his passion for wanting to be there and wanting to make a change. And he shares with his group that his family are back in Toronto and he's there with them alone. Now, I think that's going to be his secret weapon, because if he has no distractions, then he is going to be in that gym and he's fresh and he's new and he's hungry and he wants to stay, because traditionally the new trainers don't stay. He wants to really prove himself. So he's going to work 5 times harder than anyone else will. We'll see. So he shares his story. He cries. They all cry, and it's really cute. So a bit of a bonding moment. Then we start off with the very first training session, and now this normally in previous versions of Biggest Loser is where and I can say fat people and I can make fat jokes because I have been fat and thin and fat and thin more times than Oprah Winfrey and Kirstie Alley together. Seriously, I am the queen yo-yo dieter. I literally have the crown and the sash. And yes, it's 2XL. So don't tell me I can't call people fat, because I'm like fat myself. So that's why they chose me as the host of Biggest Loser, because I had struggled with my weight my whole life and I've shared it very openly. Just Google AJ Rochester in a bikini and you'll just see far too much of my fat that you want to see. So anyway, this is where we normally see lots of fat people falling off the treadmill or vomiting or crying or going, I just can't do it. It hurts. A lot of whinging, a lot of crying, a lot of moaning. And it's all like, work harder, stay on the treadmill, and making them run until they just cry even more. But see, there's none of that this season, which is kind of great because we've seen that for 16 seasons. We've seen it. Been there, done fat. So now we kind of see them all working out briefly, and then it's all about the personal stories. And Dolvett really summed it up, and he was like, let's separate the physical from the emotional. And let's really talk about what brought you here, meaning what made these athletes obese. And here's what I really love about this season that is really incredibly life-changing for the rest of us who get picked on for being chubby, curvy, taking up more space, is this season really breaks the stereotype that fat people are lazy. Fat people are out of control. There's this huge prejudice in the media and in the community that just consistently paints this picture of fat people being, just pigs. And, I've been sent emails calling me a glutton and Shrek and all sorts of things. And this is what I love, because these are all athletes. They're all right into it. They're not complaining. They're not whinging. They're fit. And that's the other thing, is that fatness and fitness don't necessarily go together. You can have someone who's, 100 pounds, who's incredibly unfit. And you can have someone who is obviously 300 pounds. And these people are actually kind of fitter than most normal people. So I love that. We're straight out of the gym and into the stories that we can all relate to, because what we hear later in the show is Dr. Huizenga. He says, 80% of this nation, he calls it over fat, which I love. It's cute. It's like, it's not overweight because it's not about weight, but it's like over fat, and we're all too fat, and except for Hollywood actresses. They kind of balance the spectrum. But yeah, so it's great because we're breaking those stereotypes. And we're getting into it. So we learn their stories, and I think everybody kind of can relate to that because we've all got those stories. And we then go into who is my favourite trainer. I call her Gentle Jen. Now, she's the inverted commas new Jillian. She kind of looks like Jillian, which I think is a very smart move for the producers. It's kind of a slightly, a bit of a morphing effect. But she is the antithesis of Jillian Michaels. And I think it's really important that they did this because Jillian is very polarizing. She's had an incredible number of wins in the finales. People love her or they love to hate her. And, they have tried to replace her. But again, this series isn't really about the pounding on the scales and the fat shaming and the you're a loser and you need to do this. Gentle Jen comes in and breaks the mold. She's always, talking about love and passion and loving yourself, and you're beautiful no matter what size you are, and it's all these beautiful affirmations, and let's get to the bottom of it. And I just love that people can really relate to her. They can love her immediately. And I think this is really going to help her stay. I think they finally found a way to have a new female trainer who will go the distance and who, most importantly, because I think the most important element of Biggest Loser is that it teaches all of us in the real world how to be and how to heal and how to live our lives. That's really what Biggest Loser should be all about. And I think that that's the soul and spirit that Biggest Loser refound this season. So Gentle Jen comes in and she talks to Matt, the former wrestler / model. OMG. We see his photos and he is hot. I am talking like hot. And, far be it from me to be very shallow, but no, he is hot. He's really hot. And he shares this story that his fiance he met when he was a model, and she's hot as well and tiny, and she did not get into the better or worse. She's like better or better looking. She's given him an ultimatum, and if he doesn't shape up, she's going to ship out. So, we kind of start to learn more stories about the people who are here and why they're here. And, God, that must be just horrible for him, because he's like, he doesn't want to get naked and he doesn't want to get intimate and he loves this woman. And personally, if she doesn't love him for who he is, then she should hit the road anyway. But that's just my personal opinion. Because he's beautiful on the inside and the outside. And Jen said that last week too. So I love Jen. I have a bit of a girl crush on Jen. So then we've got Dolvett, and he meets Blake. We meet Blake. She's 18, former soccer player. She's on the treadmill. She has this anxiety attack. And Dolvett's, because Dolvett now comes from the old school, right? So he's kind of having to adapt to this feel-good love-in that Biggest Loser is. And he's trying to get her to open up. And she's like, no. And she's giggling. And, she's 18. Come on, let's be real. But she's like, no, I'm not going to open up. No. And so he sends her out of the gym. He's like, all right, then get out. If you're not going to open up, you're not going to play the game because it's a new game, then get out. So we see her trotting off up the field. But then later we see him and he comes together with his group and he shares this really beautiful story. And he actually really opens up to a side that we haven't seen with him as well. And, because we've seen the hardcore trainer, because that is previously the let's break their spirits until they become different people. But it's not about that this time. It's about finding and connecting with your spirit and being the best version of yourself. So he shares that he had this former contestant who wouldn't open up, and he had taken in his journal. And, Dolvett was adopted. He had an abusive family. He had this, really, really tough childhood. And when he shared it with this former contestant, we find out that it was John, I think it was John, who turned out to be a winner. But it was only when John opened up and really released his demons and shared himself with Dolvett, after Dolvett had shared his life with him, that he went on to win. So this season, I guess you could say it's really all about, it's not glory days, it's excess baggage. Let's get rid of our excess baggage so that we can really move on and relive our glory days. And it really is about, all of the stories are all about what was that trigger in your life, that the aha moment that made you kind of go that way and stop caring for yourself and stop investing in yourself. And I certainly think that we can all relate to that. So we hit the challenge. I love the challenge. I love them. I always love seeing what they've done, because there's a whole art crew behind that who sit around and go, what can we make them do this week? And, it's kind of got to be interesting and fun and challenging and have certain elements that can go wrong, because there's multiple elements on a team. You have, a 500-pound contestant, you have a 300-pound contestant, you have a male, a female, you've got a team with 4 males and 1 woman. So, you kind of have to make it slightly fair, but then at the same time, it's just the luck of the draw. So this challenge is called No Excuses. And there's 4 walls with their excuses. It's food, work, responsibility, and fear. And I was like, oh, there's only 4 excuses? Oh, oops. Because I'm sure I've used the excuse of, oh, it hurts, oh, I couldn't be bothered, oh, I don't like doing that, sorry, I'm watching Biggest Loser on TV, I'd rather eat a donut, can't talk, I'm eating. Yeah, so anyway, apparently there's only 4 excuses. So they've got these walls. They have to break down the walls. They have to carry this huge, I think it's a 60-pound punching bag. And they've got to run through tyres and over ropes and through wires and along a plank. And the first person to the end gets to, they have to raise the bag up into the air, and they get the gym for a week. So they get all the machines, they get all the equipment, and that's a pretty good prize, because really you don't want to be stuck without all of that equipment. You can do it, but really you don't want to. You want to have the best opportunity that you can. So it's game on. They're running through, blah, blah, blah. And then it comes down to white beat red by 2 seconds. 2 seconds. It's like, OMG. Oh my God. So crazy. 2 seconds. But it's not as simple as we think. And I think this season is all about consistently surprising. I don't even think we know about half the things that are going on behind the scenes. They're going to trick us. They're going to twist us. There's going to be all sorts of surprises and secrets. I think this whole season really is about rewriting the show as we've come to know it. So apparently White, the winners, are allowed to choose one other team to come into the gym. And it's like, well, blue or red? Well, red absolutely hammered the weigh-in last week. And for a minute, one of the contestants is going, yeah, let's compete with the tough people. It's like, no, really. There's $250,000. You do not want to give these people any kind of a chance. So they go, no, we'll take the underdogs, blue, because they're not very strong. They're pretty weak. Yeah, they're pathetic. And blue are like, oh, I take offense to that, which... hello, take notice. That's kind of what fuels them on for the end of the show. So red are out of the gym for the week. And Dolvett's, like, it doesn't matter. And then they go back into the gym and White team prank their trainer Jen by going, oh, we lost. And I don't know who it was. One of the guys was like he should have an Academy Award because he was like doing the whole crying. And they told her that she had to eliminate someone and she's crying. And then they go, tricked you. That was kind of cute little moment. So then Dolvett apparently doesn't care and he takes his team into the living room of the Biggest Loser ranch house and they're all moving furniture and they're having a workout and they're like holding the vases and doing all this crazy stuff. And yeah, right, sure. Okay, you don't care. You do care. Then I think the biggest part of the show, the contestants go and see Dr. H. Now, I know Dr. H, Dr. Huizenga. He is one of the guys who, he's this incredible doctor, but he was, not only has he been with the show from the beginning, but he actually helped develop the show. He's one of the first people who said, hey, look, obese people can really work out for 3 or 4 hours a day. They really can. You're completely underestimating them. He has been instrumental in reshaping and reforming the honesty of the game, because very early in the days, the contestants used to drink lots of water and water load so that they would lose 50 pounds in their first weigh-in. He got rid of all of that. I have no doubts that he was the one who spotted the Jillian drama last season. So he gives them these full body checkups, and I've been through that checkup with him. It's incredible. They take blood, they take pee, they put you on the respirator that you nearly die from, and he starts confronting the contestants, and they freak out. They've all got pre-diabetes. They're all going to die. Scott's dad died from a diabetes-related gangrene, so he's freaking out. And then Big Rob, who's nearly 500 pounds when he first came in, has a freak out. Dr. Huizenga brings in a wheelchair and says, you're going to be in this in a year and you're going to be dead in 5 years. And he freaks out, cries, he screams, he goes, I know I'm going to be dead. Has this huge drama. And we're going to cut to that later because it's all important, because it all comes down at the end to whether he kills the weigh-in or fails the weigh-in. That's the entire storyline of the show. So we go to last chance workout. Dolvett has to take his team to the athletic track. Again, we see Rob, we're building up to this big moment. He's struggling. And Dolvett's like, get out of your head, get out of your way. Just do it. And so we're leading up to the weigh-in, but we quickly cut to the comeback canyon because, of course, someone has to leave. Someone's got to go. Bye-byes. So it's down to, again, remember, we've got Andrea, the former cheerleader, and Vanessa, WNBA. They get on and Vanessa loses 5 pounds. She's pretty happy about that. Andrea loses 6. So Vanessa's going home. Andrea gets to stay and has whoever gets kicked out. It's going to be, like I said earlier, it's going to be really hard for the person who stays to keep getting a better number than the person who comes in. But we'll see. I could be wrong. The weigh-in, here we are, the big moment. Red, white, and blue. So red go in completely disadvantaged. They haven't had the gym for the week. Dolvett's tried to kind of make it not a big deal, but it's true. Oh, no, let me tell you a little insider secret. They actually weigh the contestants in the morning. So, A, because everyone's lighter in the morning, but B, also, so they know where to put people in the weigh-in. Because, of course, if you know immediately the first two teams are safe, there's nothing to really know. So they kind of try and create these great cliffhangers, and then they always put the ad just before they show you the weight. And another little trick is, they show the crestfallen face of the contestants, but usually that's a shot from something else just to kind of trick you to think that, oh no, they lost, or oh no, they won, or, that kind of thing. So just don't believe everything that you see until you really see it. So Red go up first. Dolvett, he had a landslide victory last week, so he's got a lot to prove. He has kind of average numbers, 8, 5, 9, 8. The two guys, traditionally the guys will lose more than the girls. We've got Scott and John who get 10 and 12, which is, they're not bad numbers, but generally, John last week lost 33 pounds. This week, 12. Hey, 12 in a week. We all, well, maybe you don't know, but I know that a week on TV is not necessarily a week in real life, because you can't shoot a whole week of TV in a week of real life. So sometimes they say, oh, I lost 12 pounds in a week, but it could be 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But I don't think Biggest Loser care about people knowing that anymore, because this whole season is about honesty and integrity. So I think I'm okay about telling you that. So team total is 52 pounds. It's okay. We go to White Jen, and she's got some pretty good numbers. Thomas 8, 7, 8, 10. Rondalee gets 10 for a girl. That's great. Woody 12, JJ 12. They're safe. 57 pounds in total. White are safe. Jen is safe again. Go, my favourite trainer. Woo! Girl crush. Woo, woo. And then we've got Blue. So it comes down to Red versus Blue, okay? The underdogs, remember, they were all like, oh, Blue, you're weak and pathetic because you lost last week. And then Red, who were like the Titans. This is kind of like a really great story. And the Blue are kind of, they start off kind of slow and you're getting a little worried. It's like 6 pounds. Laurie loses 5. Then Chandra brings a 9. Jackie a 10. And Damien lost 7 pounds last week. And of course, he's going to bring a better number. Traditionally, if you've got a low number one week, you're going to have a high number the next. And he brings 14 pounds. And they're good. They're safe. And Dolvett, Mr. I've been here a few times and I know what I'm doing, he's going to elimination. So it's great. It's awesome. Red go to elimination, and like I say, so we had Blue, who were eliminated last week and are feeling the stress. Red, it's their turn. Blake, Biggest Loser for this week, is safe. And, it starts to get real. They're in there, and it's a landslide for Emmy, who's lost the lowest numbers. And like I say, in the beginning, it's a bit of a love-in. They kind of get rid of the weaker people in the beginning, but as soon as they start realizing it's game on, then the people who are getting the big numbers, they have to keep getting big numbers to stay safe and get that immunity, or they are gone. Gone. So many times the person who really could be the Biggest Loser gets booted just for having a bad week, so they've got to stay on top of it. So that's it. That's pretty much, like, we're almost there. We come back, of course, to the love-in story, and we know that Emmy's not really going, okay, because, the start of next week's show, we're going to see Emmy going to Comeback Canyon, and it's going to be Emmy and Andrea. 2 girls again. It's probably going to be pretty close, and, like I say, I'm predicting that Emmy is probably going to beat Vanessa just because she had a lower number. Then we come back to let's check in on Vanessa outside of the ranch. She's lost 45 pounds. She's out there playing basketball with her daughter again. She's no longer the absent mum, and that's what it's really about. And I think these stories, even though we kind of forget the people who leave early, it's really important to remember and honour how well they've done outside of Biggest Loser when they had just a very brief moment in that ranch with all of those trainers. But I do think that and I do know for a fact that Jess and Jen are keeping in touch with the contestants, because every Friday I do a catch-up call, and last week I spoke to Zena, and she said they'd kept in contact with them, so because they're new, they want to keep proving the point. So that's it. It's awesome. I love the new Biggest Loser. It is so exciting. I'm fully addicted. Dr. Huizenga, we love him. If you want to check him out, he has his own Biggest Loser ranch. It's called Aqua Malibu, aquamalibu.com. Every Friday, I do a catch-up call with the eliminated contestant, and you can check that out on Twitter at Reality Wanted, or you can check me out on all of my social media, and it's really easy to remember because it's at AJ Rochester, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of it. My website is findingmymojo.com. And make sure that you check us out, AFTERBUZZ TV, on iTunes and YouTube for all your after show recaps. I'm AJ Rochester, and it has been an awesome first time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AFTERBUZZ TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AFTERBUZZ TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzzTV or its owners or principals.